All right, and we are live. How's everybody doing?
It's hot out.
Great.
It is. It's so
It
hot
is
out.
hot.
How dare
So hot out.
everything?
We're
Clocking 108 like around midday today. Blech.
Yeah, it was 100 to 101 according to all the thermostats I've seen around here, like around town and in people's cars and whatnot. So gross.
it's gross.
Miserable.
Well, I hope everybody is hydrating, has water hopefully with them.
I have a
Hydrate or dehydrate.
vegetable.
Yes, it's a day here in Florida.
Mm-hmm. You know the
That's why I live
humidity
up
as I
north.
do. Humidity is awful.
Yes.
Okay, so
And that's why I live where the air hurts my face in winter.
yes. And we are currently down a couple of players. August is off for the evening. Mal has a small power outage, so we're hoping they'll join us later. And we're waiting to hear back from Kat, because we haven't seen Kat, but hopefully Kat will pop up shortly if they're going to join us this evening. I hope they're doing okay. But in the meantime, we left off the last time on Digitized Heroes with a big, situation, a big tete-a-tete with Snacks in the Lady Melina Oscura's parlor, so to speak, discussing, hey, we're all stuck in the game together.
Morgan almost crashed out.
Morgan did crash
Almost.
out. Morgan crashed out.
There was no almost
Yeah.
about that.
This
That was
close.
a crash out.
Morgan, who is of course
Legitimate.
Morgan, who is of course played by Doug, found out that Doug's child is in the game playing as well, and what their character's name is.
Best buffet.
That makes it sound like a car. Yes, but the child's name is Vesper Faye, and they are currently out at sea. But little more could be known about that. So
on some kind of god quest or something,
yes,
but I don't know any details about it beyond that.
Vespa Queen in the comments there. The moderator who you had met, Lady Muse, had revealed that Vesper is a member of the Questers Guild, which she seemed to give a kind of wary impression of, and gave a brief description as people who are obsessed with a quest, but little more than that has been told.
Mhm.
And then, you guys asked all your nice questions, and she said, great, grab all the trays, we're going to take the leftover food back to all the NPCs that we just left back at the Shadows headquarters, and ushered you guys back through the portal that she had created for you. I'm going to start off with DeLacy, because DeLacy did not go on that trip.
He's an NPC.
DeLacy's player just had a silly thought, and it was, yeah, I just kind of like sit here and wait for the players to come back. That's my role in this.
But we last left DeLacy waiting outside of Philip's office, waiting to ask a question, as I recall.
Yes.
Wanted to check in with Philip.
Do I necessarily entirely remember what that was?
No worries.
Not 100%, but I'm sure I can jog my memory.
Yeah. The very handsomely tailored Lord Melina Oscura, who also goes by the Claviger, or Rivaldo to those who know that information, which I don't think any of you guys do yet, except for Lakey, who's not here, had entered the office to have a discussion with them. Actually, Smalls, can you give me a roll, please?
Sure can. Let's see if the dice like me today, because they didn't last week.
Oh dear.
Nope, that's a 5. That is
okay.
Exactly where it left off on my rolls last week as Donnie the Rat.
Yes, if you did not catch us last week we were down to only 3 players, so we ran a very quick one-shot. It's very cute, it's very standalone, so if you want to go do that. It does make reference to some of the events in our other campaign here, but it is completely spoiler free aside from some major events that would have been in the newspaper. So you are waiting.
Of
That
which
was a
they
And
that was a
waiting.
5.
And waiting. You hear lots of
At
talking.
some point,
Oh, go ahead.
I say at some point he goes, "Are they talking or fucking in there? Damn."
No, the door is slightly ajar, so you can slightly hear what they're talking about. And
Carelessness told me nothing.
say what?
People are welcome to be as uncareful as they want. Are they talking or are they fucking in there?
You hear a little bit of back and forth that's not specific, and then you hear Mina talking. And it sounds like just reading off of a sheet of paper. It's very legal jargony. You honestly can't make out a lot of what's being said, but it's very, very, very technical. So things like, okay, I have a thing in my notes. The terms of which are agreed to are as listed as follows. Examine the object and runes inscribed therein to provide clarity on the purpose and use. If possible, remove the object with care not to cause the wearer any harm. The amount to be paid will be relative to the degree of service performed as described in section 1.4a. By signing, all parties agree not to discuss anything relating to this agreement with any outside parties during or after the rendering of services, including the identities of signatories or the wearer of the device. Excuse me, I'm tripping up. This agreement pertains to. As part of your service, we, the hiring party, will provide any necessary support or requested supplies within the budget listed in section 22C. All signatories sign in full. She goes on reading until finally she stops and says, that's all of it? Would you like me to repeat any sections, sir? And you hear, no, that won't be necessary. Would you please indicate where I might sign? You can see Mina through the crack in the door, set the agreement down on the desk, and she helps guide one of the Clavager's hands to the correct line for him to sign with a quill. He does so quickly, and despite being quite blind, he signs this intricate and beautiful calligraphic signature that Lakey would be quite familiar with if Lakey were here. Poor Lakey. Lakey has missed
Lacey bites
all of
the
the Clavager stuff so far. And he says, there, now that all the necessary formalities are complete, would someone please show me to the device in question? Of course, Akemi says. Ziv, would you? And Ziv, who has been in the office, leads this gentleman down the hallway. Right past you.
Lacey's like, was he in there the whole damn time? Damn. He's been trying to distract him. He's been trying to distract himself with like a small like pocket book of poetry he's been reading, but the gossip in him is just like, no.
How much of that legal jargon do you think he would have picked up on?
Legal jargon, I don't know, but he did pick up the word runes because that's become a
buzzword.
That's become a Pee-wee That's become a buzzword. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. That's become a buzzword for him, and he. So I'm gonna say DeLacy understands it about as well as I do, which he's like, that sounds an awful lot like an NDA. That might be an NDA. for what I'm pretty sure I know what you're about to do. But the less smart I am, the safer I am. So I'm not going to think about it too damn hard.
Mm-hmm. You see Ziv lead this gentleman down the hallway into the infirmary where you know that Hale is laid out on the table. Or, not on the table, but like the bed that they have in there for medical treatments.
He has a brief instinct to follow because he is concerned about Hale, but he's like, but then he stops himself going, I'm not someone that boy would derive comfort from. I'm going to take care of my business first.
Okay. You now see that Philip and Mina are in the office together, and they seem to be, putting this agreement that they now have filed into an envelope and sealing it.
All right, that pocketbook goes right into his in her jacket pocket because he's wearing a different jacket than the one that got sacrificed to the ocean.
No,
He
thank
has
you, the
lost.
ocean.
He has lost 2 pieces of clothing in this game, and he's very upset. He has lost 1
It's
coat and
nice.
1 hat. But pockets the book, and knocks again on the door frame, actually like clearing his throat to announce his presence, and says, is it safe for me to come in now?"
Of course, Mr. DeLacy. How can I help you?
I just had a couple of very low risk questions, I think. Anyway, he's not as stammery as I'm being right now. I'm so sorry.
You're all good.
He goes, the biggest one being, do my fellow conspirators lean on just their own weaponry, or do you have an armory of sorts?
Usually we bring our own. But if there's something that we
Okay.
can get for you, we can do our best.
I just had an idea that I thought might be helpful in the matter, but it would require a bit of tinkering that I ain't too familiar with, but I thought maybe y'all might have a mind that's up for the task.
Of course. What do you have in
And
mind?
I would only need probably a light crossbow, a few bolts, and a telescope, if that'd be easy enough to acquire.
Sure, I'll see what we can find. And Mina will scramble off, leaving you and Philip alone. Not thinking about the fact that you said you had 2 questions.
Much.
Or a couple of
questions. As Mina goes, Delisa's like, much obliged, Miss Mina. And then he's there alone with Phil. Feels weird to him just because Phil saw him at his lowest point, and he's like, okay. He's like, what is Phil's last name again? I'm so sorry.
His full name is Philip Prince.
Philip Prince, okay. He goes, Mr. Prince, I aim to settle this whole business with Gwendolyn at the Thieves Guild as quickly as possible, but my apprentice seems to have scurried on off. You know her pretty well. About how much of a grace period you think I got for this matter?
Technically, I'm not in the Thieves Guild. I'm your friend, the... Sam would probably know better than I, being that he is an official member and I am mostly a contractor. If possible, if you can remain within, any additional information we can get on the goings-on of the Thieves Guild would be helpful, but if you think it's too big of a risk, we understand.
I don't think anything's too big of a risk, let me be very clear, but I may not be the one to ask about that. And he goes, and me out of character, I'm having the darndest time trying to remember what I was going to ask him. It's been I've had a busy week, I'm so sorry.
Well, the last impression you had of him was that he looked very tired, a lot more muscly than you had seen him the last time. And you don't know how he got from where you guys were the last time you met, which was him getting you out of jail, essentially. Or out of, doing real jail time. You weren't in jail, necessarily. And now, where he's running an anti-royalist, rebel cell.
The most ironic of last names.
And he goes, I was also flirting with the idea of telling Fox to remain here because I don't believe we have seen Miss Gwendolyn since the fire that broke out. I was thinking if I don't want to do it without Fox's permission, but if I could possibly feed her a story about him being dead, that would get him off the hook. Frankly, I think he'd have more fun with all this business. And he gestures with his hat.
It would get him off the hook, yes. If we need to, we could also manufacture alibis.
that would be most appreciated, both for him and for myself, if possible. Because Gwendolyn can smell a mile away. And I'm good. I am good, but I'm not that good.
Philip is going to quietly walk over and close the door and say, I don't want to blow up your apprentice's situation, but he was on a date with a chemi last night.
I knew he was out with somebody.
They did actually go get drinks at the Harbinger's Rest. So,
Well, that should take care of him, no problem.
hypothetically, it has only been 24-ish hours, but that doesn't necessarily, if she's suspicious about the stage situation. Actually, I'm sorry, it hasn't been 24 hours. It's been more like 16, 18? I forget where we are right now. But it's mid-afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically, one could see if maybe a chemi would be willing to lend an alibi in that regard. I understand the date did not end as one would hope.
That was about to be my next bullet point on if how the date went. Would the alibi be dependent on that? But I don't think Miss Akemi is the top to throw a bad date under Gwendolyn's type of acts.
No, I don't think Kemi feels that harshly towards him. I don't think it went that badly.
I do not think it went well, but that's
as
the
for
gossip in me.
your alibi, I'm sure that maybe Sam could potentially relinquish one of the tasks that he has fulfilled behind the scenes that we keep on tap.
That would be very, very helpful. As Sam and me we ain't the best of friends, but we have been working together for a long time.
Yes, I was surprised you didn't know about your Thieves Guild background.
Say that one more time.
I was surprised he didn't know about your Thieves Guild background.
Who, Sam?
Yes, he had informed us of your, recent ongoings, but we did not know from him, apparently he didn't know, that you had done assassin work in the day.
Oh, that. It was a. Shoot, that was a hot minute ago and a cold one. Even I forget it sometimes. The reflexes and the skills never go away, but luckily, some of the memories do.
I understand.
Not all. Definitely not all. Shoot, if they all went away, I wouldn't have needed your help that day.
So, he gets very quiet and doesn't really say anything.
But, pardon me, that might have been overfamiliar. But the biggest things I had to ask about was what are me and Fox to do about either our previous employment or our ongoing secondary jobs, I suppose, and the armory. Because how the first one goes will dictate what I'm able to bring to the table as far as armament goes.
Yes, we have a few safe houses, but they are all loosely equipped as a result of, having to stay one step ahead of the knights. So,
of course,
keeping an armory stocked can present a bit of a difficulty.
And how are all your feel like calling them all your shadows feels a little too grandiose, but do all your shadows have some form of combat training?
Yes, in one way or another. I suppose maybe the artificers are a little less combat ready than the others, but and the bard. But other than them,
well, they got their own jobs to do.
They have their uses, yes, but they are not necessarily combat ready.
I understand. In fact, I'll probably have to nudge one of them artificers for this idea I got in mind. It's A crossbow's good, but it ain't exactly precise, and I figured putting that spyglass on it might help it be precise, which would be helpful for trying to take out a target from a longer distance. But I won't know till I try.
You may need to go to someone who's more equipped with a certain set of artificer skills. We obviously have the Claviger just down the hall there that you have probably seen on his way past.
Oh, yes, I have.
Philip kind of looks at you really curiously for a second and then goes back to it. But he
Oh,
says,
what? Oh, what?
Philip is not trying to lead that conversation in that direction. He's just making an observation and moving on. And he says, but we do have other artificers that may be willing to help you in that endeavor. If we can get Casimir to come here, the gentleman who has created the trains for us, you may have noticed him on stage earlier,
I did.
I'm sure he would be able to help you. But in case he isn't, we do have a few junior artificers on our staff.
And all I can hope is that they'll see the question as an interesting challenge, and not worth their time. Well, and he gets his secondary hat back on. And he goes, "Well, I've taken enough of your time, and it's been glad to see you again. This work's done good for you."
Quiet. He's just quiet. He doesn't really say anything in that regard.
Yes.
It feels.
Something's never changed.
It would feel to you like there's something he's not saying, but doesn't really know how to phrase it.
Again, I apologize if that was overly familiar. I've been surrounded by very, very good friends, and it's loosened up the coil, so to speak. But I will cease taking up your time and wait to collect my apprentice.
There is the matter of payment. Is there a way that I can best direct that to you?
Oh, shoot. I didn't even think about that. I mean, if you put the money in my hand, that's pretty damn direct.
Okay, we'll make it happen.
I know you will. And gives a little wink as he's heading for the door.
Take
I've
care,
worked-
Mr. DeLacy. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. And I meant what I said. You look hard. You look hardier than the last time I saw you. And his shoulders kind of relax, and his overall posture kind of relax.
Oh,
And he goes, "It does my heart good to see that the passing of time can actually do good on somebody rather than bad."
I appreciate your optimism, Mr. DeLacy. And it is something that many of the shadows have in this situation. The best thing that the shadows have done is sober me up, to be really honest with you. Has given me a purpose to fight towards, more so than just angry lashing out.
Well, Mr. Prince, you and me got that in common. You with your shadows, and me with that gaggle of folks that stormed the stage with you.
Well,
They did this wonderful thing where I didn't realize what I was doing to myself. And it's nice to know, because it's nice to have a heading.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a direction.
Yes.
And I ain't had one of those for a long time.
Well, it's nice to be heading in the same direction. I was rather,
That is
rather ominous
it is.
Towards the Thieves Guild. They're very
Something.
well trained and efficient most of the time.
Oh, well, thank you. Wait, most of the time. The years go back. Oh, wait, most of the time.
It's the Fox Factor.
The Fox Factor.
Wait, most of the time. He ain't never been caught.
True.
Very true.
And I only ever been called once. And you bailed me out of that.
Yes, as to the last time that we met, I apologize for the condition you found me in.
Well, if it give you any comfort whatsoever, the condition you found me in wasn't much better. It was actually that incident that you had to defend me from that got me to realize what a mess I'd become, and I could not have that. Not for my livelihood, not for my freedom, not for my own sense of dignity. So I really do appreciate you keeping me free, because I don't know where I would have gone to if you hadn't. And I know it was a paid job. I ain't I ain't fool enough to think you wasn't getting paid well for that. But don't mean I appreciate it any less, because it was still a job well done. You could have half-assed it.
If it makes you feel any better, all of that money has gone into this.
It do make me feel better, actually, because it means it's going towards a good cause. And that's all I can hope to ever be responsible for in this damn life I live.
He kind of smiles a little bit at that, and offers you a handshake.
And DeLacy will take it. And it's a much easier handshake than he usually gives. He goes, if you ever do feel like getting more familiar as even just co-workers, I'll drink a choices whiskey. You can have whatever you want. I'll share a glass with milk with you if you want.
My drink of choice is usually apple juice these days, but I appreciate it.
Man, still a man of taste. Well, I'm sure you got busy running the shadows things to do, and I got an apprentice to wait for, because he just
he
ran off.
leans down, flips open a book really quick, and goes, icebox. And closes it again. Yeah, I have further engagements this evening, yes.
Icebox, that's the second time I've heard that establishment in a week. I never heard of it before.
What was the first?
The first was right before the fire. Are we coming back on the train for something? We was coming back on the train from some gallivanting, and I heard mention of the place. I heard some mention of the place, and it sounds like a place I would have loved to have been when I was about 5-7 years younger.
That makes sense. It's loud and rather violent.
Definitely would have loved that 5 or 7 years ago.
Showy, too, which is why I'm a regular there.
He does that little like shift of the weight to his back foot, and that little like tilt of the head, like, you son of a bitch. But what he actually says is, matter of fact, you're a father now, Phil.
Certain paths in life have driven me to become something other than a drunk. And the fighting, well, potentially also self-abusive, keeps the people who constantly follow me from knowing what I am actually up to.
You wouldn't. I apologize if this is forward, but you wouldn't be willing to share those skills with an old client by any chance, would you? I feel like I'm gonna need a lot more than just being quick with a dagger and a few pressure points.
I could show you something. What kind of skill are you looking to learn?
I never want to be caught off guard ever again. Not emotionally, not physically. And real quick, I'm gonna check and see what fighter thing I had chosen, so I can be more specific.
I think you had said you wanted to do counterattack, but I don't remember.
Oh, I had chosen technique. You're always
Technique, there
deadly,
you go.
even when not holding a weapon. But he goes, I want to never be caught off guard. Even if my weapon gets knocked out of my hand, I want to be ready to fight back to defend the people I've come to care about very deeply. Keep them from disappearing.
I understand that Wholeheartedly. And you see this look in his eyes that is just, like, piercingly, you know he knows exactly what you mean. Like,
He kind of
down
has
to
that
his
moment.
very soul, like, you can see right in, and it's, you hit a button right there. And he said, I would be happy to show you.
Real quick above table, DeLacy knows about... Okay. Just making sure before I proceeded. But that's when
The whole
DeLacy...
city knows that his brother was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that you had read in the paper was that his brother had been assassinated by a rogue agent in the castle itself. And that nobody knew who did it, and that they'd gotten away with it. But that's kind of where that story ended, as far as you know. Basically, it was just mourning, this bright rising star in the castle. Higher ups, I suppose.
Yeah. And but that's when he had been approaching the door, and he kind of retraces his steps back closer to Phil, still giving him his personal space, but close enough to where, like, this is a conversation between just them.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes, I did read about what happened to your brother. And I have no doubt that what we were all publicly told was not even half of it. I'm not going to ask you for more, but I know loss in a man's eyes when I see it.
He
Because
is
I see it when I
not
look in the
making eye
mirror.
contact with you right now. I don't think he can.
Yeah. But he just says, I know what loss looks like in a man's eyes because I see it in my own every time I look in the mirror. Never gonna make you say nothing about it. We never gotta talk about it ever again, but and the opportunity to I don't know. To say that your anger, your sadness, however you grieved, none of it was wrong. And none of it was unfounded. Not the way you found me. And that's all I have to say about that. And he had been kind of fussing with his hat brim, and then he puts it back on.
Thank you, Mr. DeLacy.
You're very welcome, Mr. Prince. Till next time.
Then he lets you go.
And Lacey leaves that office.
All right. I will say, unless Lakey, do you wanna maybe go interact with the claviger before the player characters get back?
Yeah, I can follow that up real well. Sure, I will take that emotional beat. Jeepers. Okay.
You got this. Yeah,
I think Leaky has taken his oh no, I overused the amount of personality I've been allotted for one day nap. And he's recharged, and I think he kind of like wakes up and excuses himself from the people around him and wanders about and comes upon the claviger and says hello.
Okay. The claviger, when you find him, is bent over Hale. He's sitting on a stool and is kind of fidgeting with the collar around unconscious Hale's neck.
Leaky will not interrupt, but will take a seat nearby.
He doesn't look at you, but you see his
just hang out.
ears kind of like direct themselves towards you because he's blind. He can't really see you all that well anyway. He does have, that he has some small amount of vision remaining to him, but it's not enough to really make out any person's face or anything like that.
This is not Lakey's first rodeo, and the fact that the claviger's ear swiveled towards him showed Lakey that he has enough situational awareness. Like, not all of his attention is on the collar, so Lakey says, Lord Claviger, it's Lakey Quickstep. Can I be of any assistance in your examination?
No, Mr. Quickstep, thank you. It's nice to see, or nice to hear you, I should say. I went by the guild the other day, and you were not there. I was very disappointed. They made me work with Timothy, who was very helpful, but perhaps not as
Helpful is an
thorough.
interesting word choice to use for Timothy, but I am glad that your work got done. It seems that there was call for my expertise elsewhere, and I fear I may have to resign my position.
That is disappointing. How did you come to be here, Mr.
Well,
Quickstep?
Timothy, honestly.
He chuckles a little bit.
Timothy had an assignment to greet some performers from overseas and get them settled before the festival. And through, I'm not quite sure how many turns of events, said performers, a few other people, and I found ourselves at the stage with our newly made friend Hale upon it, and when said friends had previously resolved to help Hale, I took advantage of the chaos to get him to a different place so that help could be reached for him. It did seem to be such a good idea that somebody else had it at the same time.
Well, great minds do think alike, I see.
But with the sad exception of a few people, we are all here now, and helping Hale is still the priority. So if there's anything I can do to assist you, I am happy to.
I see. Tell me about Hale. I assume this is the gentleman I'm working on right now?
Yes, he was introduced to us in the company of the princess and Galleon, who had more of an attitude than he was rumored. So that was fun. And we spent the better part of a day moving around the festival, seeing different things. But whenever the subject of anything having to do with his past, where he came from, anything other than the present moment, more or less, he would dissociate. And even under closer mental examination through magic, it was like nothing was there. There was no way to immediately dispel the effects of whatever was causing that to happen. And it wasn't until we had a later encounter with another rune-bound creature that we realized exactly what was going on with his collar.
It's very well crafted, this collar. You see he is running his thumbs over the rune, reading it rather like you would Braille. And he seems to be, just going over it again and again. There's no keyhole. There's no way to dispatch it.
Interesting.
I'm still reading, but you said that he couldn't speak of things.
No. The theory is that Hale is a godling, and if he were to speak of where he came from or anything of where he had been or what had happened to him, his deific parent would know. And bad things would happen to everyone. Because the king made a very poor life choice.
Do you know which one?
Ironically, the goddess of hospitality.
That's an elegant choice. Well, it appears there are 2 ways to deal with this collar. This collar was made by Arizo fucking Tasperdine.
I hate that guy.
Would you give me a roll to see if you know who that is?
I mean, I know what kind of mustard I gotta put on the name. I don't know if I need to know more than that. It's a spicy mustard. That's a 14.
Okay, I think you have heard the name Arizo Tasperdine before, but you've never met him. You would know that he is very high up in the Enchanters Guild and is the leader of the Enchanters Guild.
I assume the leader of the Enchanters Guild would have close dealings with the crown. And even if he wasn't able to necessarily proclaim it, this would be a feather in his cap.
You see the Claviger, who you also know as Rivaldo, by the way, kind of lean back and take his jacket off and throw it over the back of the chair. He's wearing a nice maroon, kind of, silk shirt. Maybe a little bit of velvety coloring in there. It's very expensive. It's so expensive. You don't even have to question that. He's wearing some nice duds. He gets paid very well for what he does, and you know that very well for working at the Merchants Guild. He kind of sits back and says, Arizo Tasperdine is one of the most brilliant minds in Starlight City. Smarter even than I at runes. His work is impeccable. Where he fails is his morals. He is the kind of person to watch bugs burn under a microscope, or under a magnifying glass, just to see how long it takes them to die.
Driven by the pursuit of knowledge and power with little care for what it does to the people. Understandable.
What I have been able to ascertain from your friend's caller here is that there is a way to unlock it. There is a password.
With no keyhole.
With no keyhole.
Ah.
If that password is spoken, it would unlock and deactivate all spells. However, the reason your friend is asleep is because of a very tricky round of spells that go through using the runes placed here, and you see him run his thumb over some runes really quickly, that render him unconscious unless he is in a particular range that appears to be about a mile from a ring, which I do not have access to.
Oh, nope, never mind. I was going to roll to see if Lakey remembered the scuffle over the ring, but Lakey was long gone by then, so Lakey does
Lakey
not
was
remember.
super gone, yeah.
But Fox would know.
So would DeLacy. DeLacy, are you still hanging around? Because you're just down the hallway.
I am just down the hallway. I could be making my
Then I
way to
think
this situation.
Lakey did not close the door behind, or like move to be quiet, assuming that the Claviger knew what the Claviger was doing. He clearly outranks him in this situation. So DeLacy would probably very clearly hear, so until we can get either the password or the ring, we need to keep Hale within a mile of the palace, presumably, in order to get him conscious.
That man Grinch smiles like crazy and knocks on the infirmary door so he doesn't spook anybody.
DeLacy, hello. Lord Claviger, this is one of my recent companions that I spoke of, Mr. DeLacy. Mr. DeLacy, this is the Lord Claviger.
Well, Claviger, good to make your acquaintance.
It's nice
Especially
to meet
after
you.
that entrance.
It's nice to meet you, Mr. DeLacy. I do apologize for running into your friends, I assume? I thought I heard your voice.
You probably did. It's pretty distinct. Mr. Quickstep, it's good to see you up and about.
Thank you. It is good to have not been turned over to any of the authorities in my sleep.
Would never dream of it. I'd fear your family finding me.
That is,
And they would.
Legit.
And they would.
that's a level of privilege that I didn't realize that I had. Mr. DeLacy, thank you for both the sentiment and the reminder.
Of course. Speaking of
But
reminders,
you were here. You know more. You brought findings about Hale to my attention. I will loop you in on this conversation happily. The Lord Claviger was asking me about Hale as a person and posited some theories about who has made the collar, and it can be removed with a password. But we will not have Hale conscious unless we have him near a ring. It is apparently a mile range. You haven't heard anything about this wayward artifact in your particular dealings, have you?
heard about, not so much. Seen, absolutely. The ring we're looking for is above table. It was on the hand of the king, yeah?
It was on the hand of
That's
the
what I
king
that's what I
last you
remember.
saw it, yep.
The ring we're looking for is on the hand of the king. And frankly, I think he has a little too many fingers.
Phalange logistics aside, it seems that our way to help Hale now is to make preparations for his side of the family finding out and then release him. However, there is the question of will Lord Claviger, will he suffer any harm if he continues to remain unconscious?
It does not appear so. You see him kind of run his thumbs back over the runes. DeLacy, you're seeing this for the first time. Just kind of going back over the source material, and says, "No, I don't see anything hurtful." No, actually, this collar does nothing to injure, but it also does nothing to protect. Everything protects itself. The only difficulty is it does keep him unconscious until he's back within that range, so eventually he would presumably starve.
So it is not a stasis, it is an active sleep.
Presumably, then, if we get this ring back in proximity of the boy, he'll wake. Is one of the options I'm hearing.
Yes, that would be my understanding.
Or if we get him in proximity of the ring.
What I'm
We
less
bring-
keen on, but objectively correct.
Normally I would say you might talk to Celine, but perhaps my sister might be a better option for you.
I would love to inquire with her, but I believe she took off with the rest of our little band not too long ago. As he's making eye contact with Lakey, like,
This is the first you've heard of them disappearing. You had no idea where they went, and just happened upon the claviger.
Are we hooking? Was the goal for her and Briar? It wasn't the other. That was the book club.
I believe so. Yes, I believe it was actual books this time.
I cannot claim much experience in those sort of relations, but I can also not figure out how one would use books.
I think the purpose is for the singular book they all seem to have read.
Oh. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't have any cauldrons.
That makes two of us. I can't. I told Fox to behave, but I could never guarantee his behavior. I'm also not his daddy, so there's that.
It's not
That
Fox
you know
have
of.
to worry about.
Lord,
Yeah, Morgan
Lord-
was definitely keeping a good eye on Fox for sure. Just like she was
Good eye.
asked.
A great eye.
Lord Claviger.
Rivaldo, please.
Rivaldo?
Lacey gives that look to Lakey, like, you motherfucker.
It's
Hi.
not said in a sensual, like, you must call me Rivaldo or anything like that. It's just a matter
It's still
of fact.
first name basis.
It is, well, he also knows Lakey quite a bit from work.
I don't know.
Yeah, and Lakey is a little taken aback. Sir Rivaldo, if have you heard any rumors about a book cult or a death cult or some sort of kerfuffle about the death god looking for an apprentice or anything like that?
Amassing followers.
No, Mr. Lakey, I believe Martavo, the god of death, is rather singular, although there are temples associated with such things, and usually they don't involve many books, from what I understand. Though I don't do a lot of reading.
Nope. Understandable. You just have.
Lacey has to bite the inside of his cheek.
Well, that is entirely understandable, and I do apologize for any sort of inconsideration in my question. there have just been people with books, the same book, who have manifested out of nowhere in this town over the past 3 days. And all
And
of
they
their
all come
behavior is quite erratic.
and they all come with stories, but then the stories seem to fluctuate and change from telling to telling. And a bad memory is one thing, but this is just inconsistency.
And when you asked them about these books,
I have not yet. I am still unsure if this is a situation where one needs to not tip their hand. The early behavior that we saw from people with these books was very destructive,
Reckless.
and very, very reckless, and very not entirely unbefitting of the head enchanter, to be quite fair.
that doesn't sound like something he'd do. He doesn't mass produce, he isn't helpful. So a book wouldn't be his necessary set of skills. I would suggest that perhaps you ask them and catch them in whatever lie they are telling, or perhaps they might tell you the truth. Either way, I do know that Philip has in the numbers here an invoker who can encourage one to tell the truth by magical means. Perhaps you might employ her.
DeLacy levels a look at Lakey that's like telling that he doesn't think that's the way to go about it because compulsory truth inherently also breeds mistrust.
Like, he is really bad at reading glances, so he's just going to nod very sagely, like he is absolutely on the same page as DeLacy.
DeLacy's so used to talking in glances, he thinks you fully get it.
Rivaldo cannot see your glances and has no idea what's happening. It's just very quiet.
There's a lot of subtext in this room. It's a shame you can't read any of it, sir. Anyway, no, that was totally out of me.
There's a lot of subtext. It's shame Lakey's a top.
I mean, he wasn't until you said that. Enjoy the world you created, Smalls.
I'm sorry. Except no, I'm not.
No, you're not. You're certainly not
Honestly,
yet.
It strikes me as a verse, but fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, irregardless, that is excellent advice, and thank you. Back to the original subject at hand. Do you have any recommendations for what course we should pursue with Hale and the collar business?
Well, the poor boy seems to need a haircut. But aside from that, perhaps obtaining the ring or finding the password. It seems it can be up to 5 words, like a phrase. But
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Is there any chance Hale, whether consciously or unconsciously, might know what that password is?
Yes.
I'd imagine
there is a clause here that he cannot speak the password. But it would have to have been said in his presence while it was on him.
DeLacy has this light bulb look on his face and he looks at Lakey, his journal.
Lakey nods very sagely again. because I don't think Leaky knows that there was a journal, but it's the same look you just got, so
You, DeLacy,
everything's
There for a
great.
journal.
DeLacy, you've also read the journal. You know that the same inability to communicate things is affected. Not only Morgan tried it within his own head, but it also happens on the page as well, where he just like trails off in the middle of a sentence and then can't seem to finish it.
We, through less than savory means, I'm ashamed to admit, found the young man's journal, and even in writing, there were words he couldn't even write, couldn't even think. I would want to be more precise, but to rescour that journal might be to a benefit.
Yes, I wish you luck with that. I don't think I could read it, but if you would be willing to read it to me, I would be very appreciative.
I think I, I think I left it in the room we first got here into. If it's no trouble, I'll just go retrieve it right quick.
Okay. You peel off. Lakey, did you have any more questions?
No, Leaky would offer to assist the Clavigers with whatever he needed, and offer he could fetch things or people or whatever.
Gotcha. In that case, I think we're gonna pause there and take our bathroom break, and we'll come back and we'll have the players do some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Stevie, bring back that bomb with you.
All right.
I leave you alone for half a session, and you come back with a bomb. Are you kidding me?
I mean, the bomb was always there. I think we all knew it.
Is
Really.
it Fox?
All right.
Did
We'll
this
be
Fox
right
have a
back,
code
gang.
name now?
We are live. Everything is hot. We're tired. But we are here. As
Allegedly.
Lakey and DeLacy start working with the Claviger on Hale's collar and giving him maybe some more of the details, I assume with DeLacy dictating,
Yeah. Yeah.
our players come back through the portal carrying lots of snacks. Doug is pretty emotionally charged. Boss is pretty emotionally charged. I forget where Saphira and Briar are at emotionally speaking, but I imagine they are not super comfortable with the situation being trapped in the game. What's going through everybody's head?
Currently for Saphira, that scene from that hotel scene from Boondock Saints, that's what's going through her head right now. Just a lot of F-bombs. Lots
Okay.
of F-bombs.
Okay, so after the reveal, when they show how they did it. Got it.
Yes. Lots of F-bombs.
You and your effing rope.
It looks like Hayes is dealing with something. How's Doug doing?
I don't know that Moradug actually brought much, if any, food out. Probably just has a hand on Boss and I don't know, kind of a half haunted, half determined uh look to their face. Uh but also certainly like has very little awareness of what's around, probably bumps into people. Boss might be helping a little bit to navigate like crowd around or direct where the hell we're putting food, because Doug could not care less.
Mm-hmm.
um so that's about where Doug is. Anyone who is looking or paying attention can, see some of the hallmark signs of having uh cried recently and whatnot. Um, that's about where Doug is.
Okay. And what's Briar's emotional state coming back from the Lady Muse's apartment?
I think Briar slash Ashley is tapping into the I'm surviving a crisis mode. Um, they're going to be a bit more task oriented because that's something that they can do and can control. They're also recognizing that this feels like something that they would demand a smoke break for. um which causes them to look in Moradog's direction and takes a breath, takes a couple beats, and then approaches Moradog. um hey, can we talk for a second?
Uh, yeah, sure.
uh so on the outside, uh I quit smoking, and
Good for you. Yeah, yeah.
but given the circumstances, I feel like I might lapse if things keep going as they're going. Um, so I'm only bringing this up because I noticed that you've avoided alcohol since getting here, and I'm only assuming you're on a wagon, right?
No, yeah, you're right.
Um, so I mean, I know I don't have to do this for you, or anything, but I thought to, since we're in this together, I could offer. If you can help me stay away from tobacco stuff, I can help support you being away from alcohol stuff. If you'd like.
No, I would really like. Hell, we're probably not the only motherfuckers struggling with this shit. I could really use a goddamn meeting. It's what I could really use.
I agree. A neat whiskey would be very tempting right now, but
I'll cry. I will cry.
but I got you if you need it
I got you too.
or want.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. If any of these assholes end up being worth anything, it really might be worth trying to get a group going. I think I know that's not actually what you're saying to me, but I think that's if us potentially being in a coma forever isn't a crisis, I don't know what the hell is.
Absolutely fair. Because it's scary. I'm trying not to freak out. I'm using my ADHD powers to get through it. But if you need support, if you need to, like, I don't know, maybe punch a wall. I'm pretty solid,
I'm not gonna punch you. First of all, you want me to wreck my own hand? What are you talking about?
Well,
Actually, hold on, real quick. Mora Doug's gonna look through her bag and pull out some of those honey hard candies and offer them to Briar. I don't know if this helps you. My wife just having something to have in her mouth, when she was pregnant and stuff. Help? Do you want?
Yeah, that'll be great. Thanks. And he accepts the candies.
She only have like the blue ones, so whole entire pregnancy, she just had a blue mouth all the time,
That
trying to
sounds
kick the habit.
adorable.
She was pretty cute then. Didn't necessarily last. Although that's mostly because I'm a piece of shit.
Well, you're trying.
I guess I gotta talk to the rest of the group. I don't know if everyone's really down for dropping everything for Oakley, but I know it's what I have to do.
I get you, man. Yeah, we'll have a family meeting.
Let's hope this one goes better for me than those usually go.
Well, it's not quite an intervention, so I think we're okay. Okay.
Saphira, while they're having this discussion, what do you do?
Good question. I think she's gonna obviously take the tray and set it down, and she's gonna kind of seem like she doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
Kind of also really lost in her own mind. She wants she's a little anxious because clearly Caleb is here inside the game, so there's a part of her that definitely as far as Rachel is concerned, would want to find him, but at the same time, she doesn't know what the plans are. So like, she's more than likely gonna want to figure out. Like, she's just kind of looking around, really, honestly. She's kind of in a daze. Like, it's almost information overload.
Okay.
And
you
with
did
everything that's
carry
going
some
on.
food over with you?
I did. I carried a tray in of food.
So as you go to set down the tray of food, the harpy gentleman who had winked at you previously on his way in through the door comes over to you and says, "My lady, could I borrow you for a moment?"
Of course. She stammers, turns red.
He offers his hand for you to take.
He takes his hand.
He leads you back to the group of people that previously you had seen him talking in front of. It is very clear he's been talking to them this whole time. The whole time you've been gone.
Cool.
And he kind of presents you to the group and says, "Take, for example, this fine noble lady. Now, my lady, may I use you as an example?"
Sure?
Now,
of course.
wonderful. Now, I could, in all truth, simply tell her that she is a beautiful woman, and that I'd like to take her out for a meal. It is true, yes, and he winks at you again, before looking back to his audience, and says, "But you don't get the desired effect. The words, they're boring, they're flat, you'll easily be dismissed, but," and he holds up a finger, pausing to get down on one knee with dramatic flourish, his wings are held parallel to the floor, as if in deference. He reaches out to gently retake your hand, and starts reading you a sonnet that he has come up with off the cuff. "You, fairest maiden, leave all in deep trance, the stars' pale imitation of soft light that spills when your silver tresses do dance, and my heart, soul in hand, take flight. Jealously Rithana doth now defer to even pale freckles on your sweet face, for truly all the gods would concur, such beauty they must ne'er erase. Though 'tis your face I do so now admire, my heart beats strong as fate I tempt, willingly would I leap into fire were I not to risk the slightest attempt. My lady, it would be more than ideal if you would grace my presence for a meal."
Lakey rolls his eyes so hard you can hear it from the infirmary.
I wish to God Doug knew and had seen Oron High School Host Club, because this is Tamaki Suo.
The elf knight who came through the portal with you, who seems to have a tan line where his tattoo appliques used to be, rolls his eyes and mutters, "Show off," and takes a sip of something amber from a crystal whiskey glass. Avi, the dogfolk invoker who you met earlier today, is clapping delightedly.
Saphira is now the color of red. Just beet red.
He definitely
Blushing all the
winks
way
at you
down to the
again.
shoulders.
And gives your knuckles a little kiss, and then releases your hand before turning back to his audience on the sofas and says, "See, it's a very different effect, and if I'm very lucky, she might say..."
Yes. So he doesn't know what to do.
You see him give this, like, cheeky little grin, but he seems pretty pleased that it worked.
So does that mean you're engaged now? What happened?
Book club hap.
He does not have a book. Actually, Lakey and DeLacy, give me a roll really quick. See if you know something about this guy.
I did roll for something else. Can I use that? Because I don't think it's applicable here.
Sure.
What I was originally going for. So that is an 18.
Okay. Lakey, what you got?
I dropped the die for the first time ever. I feel like that's a sign.
I mean,
It's absolutely a sign That was a 3.
Okay,
My
Lakey.
dice do not want me to know this guy.
Lakey, you think this guy's a tool. You've never seen him before in your life. Smalls,
Both those things are true, yes.
DeLacy absolutely knows who this person is. This person is a very well-known playwright in the city whose name is Roland.
Okay.
Roland
What do I know
Songsword.
of this fella?
He
What do I know of
has
this
a
fella?
number of very popular plays that are currently ongoing. Mostly they get played at the Temple of Lolari, which is kind of a theater. Mostly they use it for singing, but
Okay.
they do have other productions that go on there as well, especially if they include singing, which he has kind of finagled into his plays here and there just to make it applicable, but there's other venues that he goes to as well.
None of the things that you told Smalls countermand any of the things that you told me.
No, I didn't
They
say
don't.
you don't know him. I was rolling to see if you knew him.
He's still apparently an asshole.
I also want to ask something, and this can be pure flavor text or nothing. But given DeLacy's background, how does that sonnet sound to me? Like, this is rehearsed. You did not write this for this individual person.
You think, based on your knowledge of poetry, that he may have used parts of this before. Like, maybe the details get swapped up, but, like, there's something about it that, like, you're pretty sure he's used these before.
Okay.
Obviously, like, certain details you'd have to change based on who you were using it on, but there are certain parts that one could swap out.
And DeLacy pauses in reading Hale's journal out loud, and he's been reading fairly slow and making sure to enunciate well. He goes, Mr. Quickstep, could I ask you a quick favor?
Of course. How can I help?
Could you take over reading this for a second? I need to go save our friend.
Very
and you
well.
I know garbage poetry when I hear it.
I thought it was iambic pentameter, but by all means. And
It can be
Lakey will
both.
continue reading, going over the journal with the claviger.
And DeLacy is gonna do the "I'm getting my girl away from this creep at the club" move. Just fully coming over, trying to walk as nonchalantly as he can, but he's concerned because he knows Saphira is kind of at a low point right now because of everything happening. And he'd roll up beside her, still with personal space in mind. Miss Wanhorn, I believe we may need your assistance in the dealings with Hale towards the back, if I'm not interrupting anything. And he locks eyes.
The fellow looks back with these, like, gold hawk eyes.
Unbothered.
Sorry, I was choking on water.
It's okay.
It's a sign.
Of course. She, like, starts walking, like, closer to you. You could tell she's just completely red. She doesn't know how to respond.
He does also offer his arm as you turn to go.
Yeah, she takes it, and, like, there's a grip to it because she is, like, very almost embarrassed at how flustered she got. This poem.
And he says very quietly, "We can walk slowly to give you time to catch your breath." And he just kind of like pats her hand on his arm. But he's not going to start purring this time.
Fair enough.
And guides Saphira back to the rest of us. Without even another glance to that Harvey guy.
He does not follow you. He lets you go.
He does not know how to react getting flirted on.
It's all right. Doug would be similarly baffled.
Don't say. You might say Morgan would be bamboozled.
Oh, how did I miss it? I'm ashamed of myself.
But DeLacy does slowly walk Saphira back toward the party.
Doug and Briar, where are you guys
And
headed? I assume you guys witnessed that.
Oh, did
Yeah.
we? Okay. Uh,
Well, that happened.
you said yes?
you did say yes.
I don't know what else to say.
No.
I
Fuck
mean,
No
off.
is an equally good answer.
So's fuck off.
So's fuck off.
While you are correct, I don't get flirted on very often. And it's
Oh, sugar, that don't mean you settle for the first shit poem that floats past your ears.
didn't know what.
Okay, it is just one dinner. You can. It's not that big deal.
also,
Yes.
he
Just get free.
did have
Order
to
something
try to
expensive.
prove that's under duress. Yes, expensive. Bleed him dry.
Okay, now that I do get behind.
Let him put his money where his mouth is. Damn.
Yeah, because it clearly ain't being put to use reciting good poetry. He seems legitimately insulted.
Are you guys back in the infirmary now?
Yeah.
Uh,
He wouldn't have started. He wouldn't have started talking shit.
I
within
think in
another
your
room.
absence, Ziv has come back and he's kind of doing some organizing and shifting up supplies and stuff like that, trying to stay out of the way and not bother the claviger as he works. Who is starting to write out what runes he has transcribed, or not transcribed, but what runes he has figured out what they say, so that you guys have a record of that. And Ziv said, "Oh, I thought his poetry was kind of nice."
I might have been spoiled once upon a time. That's on me.
Are you a poet, Mr. DeLacy?
Not in any grand capacity, but how do I put this? I knew someone once that was. He's quite good at it, actually. Practically another life thinking back up on it now. Maybe I am being too harsh a judge, but still, patting Saphira's hand, that was definitely a poem he's used before and just switched out a few details. It's not a great show character.
Saphira looks a little sad at that, and just kind of mutters to herself, like loud enough that everyone can like hear, but kind of like, just I've never had anyone read poetry to me, and she just kind of like, she's a little sad.
Oh,
Well,
baby.
sugar, sorry to have
Ziv kind of
soured your mood.
interjects in the middle and holds both of your hands in his and looks you dead in the eyes and said, "You deserve to be read all of the good poetry."
You do. Totally breaking eye contact. Like, don't do this right now. And think of it this way. That means when someone does read you a good poem, one they actually put time and personalization into, it'll mean all the more. Trust me, you never forget it.
Ziv also turns to Briar and says, "I deserve to be read all of the good poetry too, just for the record."
Yes! So he's like pulling up the book, like eyeing it at Briar, like,
do you turn bright red at that?
Yeah,
You're already orange. It's just a shade difference. Just to saturate.
I think
Just to saturate. Just open Photoshop, pull up the menu, just change the slider.
I think Ziv is looking for that response. It just kind of laughs at you. He's not actually expecting you to read him poetry, but he knows, based on what he knew of you in the past, that you would turn red if he said that, and was kind of looking to see what you would do.
Ooh.
Well, his estimation was correct. And Friar nods. Noted. Mr. DeLacy, do you have any suggestions or recommendations?
It would probably be more beneficial if I wrote you out a list rather than saying them all out loud.
Hey, DeLacy.
Morgan's probably closer to Briar anyway, just from previous conversation, probably walked over and stuff. And so leaning in, like with a nudge, not trying to have everyone hear, he's like, honestly, if you just say the lyrics to any song, they're not going to know the difference. Just choose a love song.
I'm not wrong.
Like, go your song, Elton John, or something, you know?
The strong
You
start.
can't go wrong with Elton John.
Strong start.
You broke mouth.
Y'all are lucky that I am a game character and not an out-of-game character, because if I were an actual player character, I immediately would have begun reciting Genuine's Pony. And it absolutely proven me wrong.
DeLacy, I think with the earlier 18, you would also know that Roland Songsword has an opponent in the theater scene whose name is Banquo Highland. So if you want an alternate playwright to follow,
I love this so much.
I don't know what to do with that information right now, to be honest.
That's okay. I'm just saying, if you want a favorite poet and playwright that's famous in the city that isn't Roland Songsword, you are welcome to use that one.
Listen, his favorite poet is not around now.
I'm sorry, Edgar, you had a question?
Oh, I was just gonna goof, because I know the one of them kind of is doing musicals. I was gonna say which one is closer to Stephen Sondheim, because that's probably my favorite one.
Oh no, these are absolutely a riff on Shakespeare and, oh god, what's his name? Help me.
Kit Marlowe.
Kit Marlowe, there we go.
Okay, yeah. We probably just met Shakespeare then.
Yes.
I am fanning out, but Doug would not. So here we are.
Shakespeare is a mess. He's also about 27 and a harpy, so, take it with what you will.
I just love it. He needs to be a messy bitch. That's good.
He's also incredibly bisexual.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
In DeLacy's opinion, his stuff's for the birds. Honestly.
Amazing.
But you don't want to harp on it?
No.
Yes.
Just a quick little flyby, and then we can move on.
No.
I don't want to be walking on eggshells around him.
No.
Oh my god, I wish we had Kat here tonight. So many puns.
Oh, the puns.
Birds of a feather flock together, as it were. That was low-hanging fruit there. Somebody beat me to the punch.
Wow. Nice.
He doesn't have a beak. while you are all sitting there, there's a gentleman sitting in the middle of the room in a very nice maroon shirt, just not understanding what the hell is happening.
But he's thinking about egging us on.
No.
I'm letting him. That was a bit of a stretch.
Everyone, if you haven't had the opportunity, this is the Lord Claviger. He's been looking at Hale's collar and has found some things. And Lakey will explain the thing about the password, and the thing about the jerk bag, and the thing about the ring.
Of course, there's a ring. Okay.
Mr. Claviger, just real quick to refresh my memory. You said the password could be up to 5 words, or
Up to 5,
definitely
yes.
is up to 5?
No,
is it definitely up to 5?
It can be anywhere from 1 to 5 words. So, a short phrase,
From
2 words, 1 word.
From what you've heard so far of his journal, is I have an idea what 1 word might be, but I don't want to. If we tried 1 and it wasn't it, would that do any potential harm to the boy?
No, it doesn't seem that there's any language specifications surrounding it. Obviously, the right passphrase would unlock it, but aside from that, it doesn't seem to trigger anything by making any attempts.
From what I have gathered with discussions with other people, unlocking it at this moment would be unwise, because the deific wrath accompanied with the discovery of Hale's treatment would wipe the city completely from the face of existence, regardless of who was culpable.
And DeLacy would like, may I see the gentleman, Mr. Quickstep?
Of course. He'd hand it over.
And he'd flip to a particular page, and to be conscientious of the blind man in the room, he would read the poem under entry 13, which reads, "Maybe I could be ordinary, then I might be happy. Everyone might even be, I remember." And then as he's reading it, he is pointing out the first letter of each line, but doing it in a way that's like he's not saying it out loud, but more pointing it out to Lakey because he trusts Lakey's intelligence to like see what he's pointing out. And to not say anything out loud because Lakey's very aware of the potential consequences of unlocking it.
Who are you pointing it out to?
To Lakey.
Okay.
It's just like leaning in, just like leaning in, and like as he reads the line, points to the first letter. And once he's read it, looks at him like, am I on the right track?
Well, I mean, that sounds like a solid theory. We could probably spell the words. Treat the collar like a toddler, and, OUT, TREAT, things like that. Just because it can't spell, can it, Lord Claviger?
I assume the gentleman can spell.
I meant the collar.
I ain't taking any risks with this magic stuff.
No,
it is above my pay
the
grade.
collar is not sentient, as it were. Just there are an incredible number of clauses. I am counting almost 100 runes on this collar alone. And much as I would like to take this off of him, please, Ziv, can I borrow one of your scalpels? And Ziv hands him a scalpel. and he goes to like excise one of the runes, like maybe like you've seen with the previous thing where you can like take out some of the smaller ones, and it physically repels the scalpel out of his hands, sending it off into another corner of the room.
Well,
The collar protects itself, so unfortunately I can't undo any of this until
whoever made
it's
this was
off of
thorough.
him, in which case all of the spells would be dispelled, and then I could take it apart.
My colleague, Mr. DeLacy, has posited that the first letter of each line of this particular entry spells a word that could be part of, if not the entire password. It is the only entry like this, if I am not mistaken.
I believe it is.
You hear from behind you, I think that entry was him testing his limits, and Celine is standing in the doorway behind you.
Lacey jumps. You were so quiet.
That's what growing up a spy in the palace can teaches you to be. I apologize. Are you okay?
Yeah, the fluff will go down eventually. He starts smoothing out his tail. Full raccooned. Still a cat.
No,
Still
there, Mr. Claviger, sir, there are conditions in there, I think, that prevent him from potentially saying certain things. Is there any further elaboration on why those certain things are blocked? And you hear him say, yes, this section here reads, if wearer intends revealing forbidden information, control, stop, and bamboozle until source thought forgotten. It indicates that it forbids them from communicating the password, as well as 3 other conditions of the choice of the person applying it to whomever is wearing it.
Find whoever made this and give them at least a stern talking to.
Oh, I
It's
wouldn't
the-
talk.
Well, I'm
It's
bringing
the-
Fox for it too.
It's the head of the Enchanters Guild. I can give you his address. He's not that hard to find.
You don't say. Cracks his knuckles.
Celine kind of steps in. I don't know if you guys want to close the door or not, but she doesn't close it behind her and says, I believe my
I'll close
father
it.
may have forbidden the topic of his mother due to obvious reasons that if someone found out who he was, and it got out where he is, it would cause issues for him.
How big is this infirmary? Because there are an impressive amount of people in it right now.
It's a reason. It looks like a storage room in a warehouse, but that they've converted. So Ziv goes from storage room to storage room. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
And just for clarity's sake, DeLacy did close the door behind her and is actually standing by it to make sure
Yeah,
it
I will
stays
say
that way.
the room is probably a little full at this point, for sure.
He also hears the word mother and like fluffs up again, like
Yeah, nothing
because
happens
that's what
to the
he thought it
collar.
was.
It doesn't unlock.
Well, that disproves my theory.
Maybe it's a sentence that involves the word mother. I mean, I have a theory. I could write it down.
DeLacy pops out his book of poetry and passes it to Briar. You got something to write with?
Let me
Also, you're a doctor. Is your handwriting legible?
that is a myth. Thank you.
I don't know. My mama was one. I could not read shit of what she wrote.
Like he looks over at Ziv just to see if Ziv is like snarking on this.
Ziv seems a little befuddled as to the topic. And he's just like,
Mm.
we learn penmanship in school. I don't know why that's a problem.
I think some doctors learn shorthand or a code to make certain messages easier to. How the hell am I not equipped with a pen?
You have one in your player's journal.
That's a notebook, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. It's been a weird day.
Tell me.
So he's writing the theory down. For narration purposes, Ryer thinks the sentence Ariel is my mother could be the password. It's within the 5-word limit, at least. And he hands the book
Do you allow
back to
Celine to
Mr.
see, or do
DeLacy.
you just hand it to DeLacy?
Well, it would make sense to show to Celine, so he presents it.
It's a
Do you think
nice
that's
thought, Mr. Breyer? Your name was Breyer? But as much as I would like it to be something that Hale could have said if he wanted to, and that would be kind of cruel of my father to do, I tend to think it's probably something my father could have controlled. So I doubt that it would have been something of that nature.
So a line of homily or supplication regularly spoken in a rite or blessing to the goddess would be just pompous enough, I think.
No, even then I'm not sure, because what if somebody said something like that in the presence of him? I think it would be something my father would pick very carefully.
Not to interrupt anyone's thought process, but you speaking of that, Your Grace, gave me pause. The Claviger mentioned that Hale is merely asleep. He is not in stasis, so he will need to wake up and eat.
Yes.
Perhaps we should try to find a safe house within the mile range so that Hale can also potentially join us for these conversations about him and eat so he doesn't die. So this whole thing isn't moot.
Well,
Guide.
yes.
Could I roll to see if I know of any safe houses within that range?
I don't even think you need to roll, because you probably don't know of any safe houses necessarily, but you know of somebody who lives in that range. Oh no.
Do I now? So DeLacy knows that Smalls has not recalled.
I need you to look at the other players on your screen right now.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that's doable though, is it?
Saphira's family lives very close to the castle. But for obvious reasons, Saphira can't go home. But it does mean that there is a very empty bedroom at the top of that house.
And we could
Safe?
just haul the body into.
Safe is a question mark.
Where Amma works.
Safe is questionable. I mean, there is a way to get to the bedroom without really being seen from the outside.
You could also request my sister's help. Rivaldo, or the Claviger, says from the table. Although it may be more complicated, depending on what her schedule is, to use her help.
DeLacy would turn to Lakey, like, do you think we could request help from Alma in this?
I think there's no harm in asking. Maybe Alma has a better idea. She's quite clever.
Oh, she's related to you, ain't she?
That's fair.
No, it's a fact.
It doesn't seem to register, like looking at Lakey, it doesn't seem to register on him that you just complimented him. He's just like, oh, we're having a conversation and exchanging information. This is fantastic. Hooray.
DeLacy's like, I'm getting away with it. Hell yeah.
While you guys are having that little exchange, Celine kind of goes over and starts kind of just petting Hale's head, kind of like you would like a sick kid almost, because he's just passed out on the table, and you can see now the horns that are under his hair.
Aww.
And that, my friends, is why he's in dire need of a haircut.
My father had him keep it long so that you couldn't see them. He didn't want the questions in case somebody noticed. And the horns were very small when he first came here, but they kept getting bigger, so the hair had to be longer and longer.
Then let's go figure out how to wake him up so that our new pixie friend can give him a new haircut.
Agreed.
So, Moradug has been very uncharacteristically quiet throughout all of this. And just seems to sort of be shrinking in on herself throughout all of it, seeing just how passionate everyone is about this quest and this line of like things to do. But especially once the attention is directed toward Hale's unconscious body, Doug just sees Vesper out in the real world. So some mixture of like sorrow and anger is like kind of brewing in her, and she's shaking a little bit.
Maybe
that was a 7 to know.
could put a hand on her back to reassure her.
Yeah, the touch kind of brings Morgan back into the moment. And she cuts through whatever little pause of quiet sort of naturally comes up in this. And is gonna say, well, I wish you guys the best in all this, but I think I'm gonna have to split off. I've got somewhere I've got to be. Got someone I've got to check in on and protect.
Whoa, on your own?
I don't think I can ask you guys to tear yourselves away from this. This is like a whole... I mean, this is gesturing towards DeLacy and then Lakey. This is your whole world, you know? This is your city. I can't ask you to just...
I'm
put my
pretty
kids
sure
out there.
we left this situation at, we're going to go see if Amma can facilitate him waking up. None of us have any other part to play in that. What do you need?
course, and I mean, this city ain't been my world forever, and you're my friend. Matters
Yeah.
to you, it matters to all of us.
Okay.
Besides, even if I haven't gotten fired yet, if I let you go off do something else without me, I will definitely get fired then.
Won't get fired. Jesus Christ. The
And you
contract's
think
over.
you, and if you think you're gonna shake Fox off your tail anytime soon, all due apologies, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah, that
He
is the
is
real shame
quite-
here. Yeah.
He
No,
likes it too much.
not yeah, I know. Ugh. But yeah, it's my kid off on some quest in a boat in an ocean. I still don't quite get it, trying to be a god or something. I just
Lakey and
happens
DeLacy,
around here.
give me a roll really quick.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it's a 2. Ew. That's not
18!
Hey!
DeLacy, you really don't know that much about what Doug's talking about. You, however, Lakey, have definitely heard of the Questers Guild.
That was a very loaded you.
The Questers Guild is kind of hyper obsessive about a quest that the God of Quests lays out. And once that quest is solved, the person who has solved the quest, who has fulfilled the final obligation of the quest, then becomes the God of Quests and has to make their own quest, and so the cycle begins anew. But it kind of takes on this augmented reality game aspect to it, where there's always a new clue, and people think there are clues where there aren't any, and it makes them kind of look like there's people that have, like, the red string hint boards all over the place. It's
Charlie Day.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, they are very, and some of them are, we lost Smells.
Oh, no.
Some of them are very nice, but some of them are absolutely batshit crazy. And they spend a lot of money chasing after things that often don't come to any fruition. Some people in the Questers Guild spend their entire lives basically hunting after a holy grail type of situation, and never find anything that's accurate to the quest. And it takes sometimes several hundred years for any one person to complete the quest, even building off of previous generations' works.
Lakey says, I haven't joined them on any quests in myself, but I have been called to attempt to negotiate contracts between members of a party of people in the questing guild as to which one of them, under which incredibly and increasingly complicated circumstances, becomes the god of questing should they solve the last one. It is an interesting choice for how to spend one's time, but if one likes seeking, then
Okay, just be careful, because if we're trying to say something about my child,
I'd also, Lakey, like you to just remember that Morrigan is quite young.
I think I said like 19 or something. Very
okay, so
young.
two things. One, Lakey has no concept of moth people or like their life cycle. Two, Lakey's a rabbit.
He's right.
That's fair.
House is
That's fair.
full.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
no judgment. Least likely to judge about this situation at all. And I don't know. Maybe they hit maturity. Maybe they're like giraffes. The moths are born and they can go questing immediately. I don't know. Like, not the weirdest thing Lakey has dealt with, today.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's
I'll
fair.
take it.
That's very
I'll
In this
take it.
hour.
Morrigan, by the way, I have in my notes is 20.
20. Okay, I knew it was somewhere around there. Yeah.
Lakey will be like, I'm not trying to say anything about your child. I am, however, attempting to advise you that people who join the Questers Guild aren't looking for answers. They're looking for quests, and they find them everywhere. And if you are determined to protect this person, then that is what you will spend the rest of your time doing. Because they don't stop because they can always just ask another question.
Okay. This is really hard because I want you to be able to understand, but there's a whole other level to this that I can't quite describe to you. It's looks desperately over at Briar, at Saphira.
Who's also trying to figure out how to say this.
Lakey's
Well-
expression is very patient, like the dad who knows that you're probably lying about a thing, but he's not going to call you out on it. He's just going to get, he already knows the answer, but he's just going to let you guys find the way to say it.
DeLacy's not much better.
I think this is a situation more of finding them and making sure that they're okay rather than preventing them from continuing on to their quests.
That's
Yeah.
that was the distinction I was speaking of. If you want to go and make contact and exchange communication terminals or something, or spells or whatever, so you can speak over long distance, that's one thing. But you said protect, and that is a very different proposal.
It's an ongoing one.
And I think what Morgan is most stressed about is that their child is out in open sea currently. We were informed when we stepped out for a while.
Lakey shoots a look at DeLacy.
You want to remind them?
And then looks back at Briar. If we're going to find Morrigan's child in the open sea, that's fine. Let's go find Morrigan's child in the open sea.
I mean, like we can contact Lawfrey. I guess there's a chance this doesn't take too long. I don't want to promise anything. I don't know.
Morgan, if it's your kid, it takes however long it takes.
And the shadows were doing things before us. The shadows will probably still be doing things when we get back.
Mm-hmm.
There may even be things that we can do to further this cause while we're out there.
Mm.
Right.
And
maybe the shadows have
I was going to
certain
say,
resources that
the
we could ask
Claviger
for.
speaks up and says, if I were you, I would start with going to the Questers Guild. Seeing if you can track down where your child has gone to.
That's what
Morgan has no idea this person is blind, and so nods.
Actually, you were in the
Oh, no,
group
wait, I do know.
when
I
he
do
collided
know.
with Fox, so you would know.
That's right. I gave Fox an earful for being rude. Okay, you know,
'Cause
that's
he
right.
rolled a nat
So
one.
then
I was
Morgan
looking
starts
for
to
it.
nod. So Morgan starts to nod, and then it's like, yeah, it's a good idea. Okay, well, if people are with me, then yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Of course we're with you.
Crazy sons of bitches. Thank
Did
you.
you expect anything
You have
less?
met my mother.
I've met your grandmother. If we're bringing that
She's
into
the
this,
bitch, not my mother.
Uh,
It's just a fascinating dynamic over there, yeah.
And with that, I think we should probably end the episode there because I know it's getting late. But we'll pick up there, hopefully with a full cast next time. We may have to fiddle with dates a little because Edgar's got a play coming up and there's rehearsals, so we'll see what we can do in upcoming dates. But we'll keep everybody informed, and we'll see you guys for this campaign in 2 weeks, and for the Monster Hunters next week. All right.
nice.
Good night, gang.
Bye,
Good
friends.
night.
Nighty night.
Au revoir.